Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. It is day 3 of the Fearless Mindset Challenge. If you're wondering why I'm out of breath, it's not because I had to run to get here on time or anything like that. It's just because I usually do 50 or 100 jumping jacks before I get on here before I do a coaching session. I do every time. I just try to put some music on and get some jumping jacks going, and helps to get me fired up. So, um, day 3. This is so exciting for me. I I hope you guys are sticking with me on this. This is really going to change a lot for you guys. I know some of you guys, even like when you started, you weren't even super clear on what the word mindset meant. And now you're starting to create this framework of beliefs. Now, I want you to know that I'm not, naive enough to think that if you just write these down on a piece of paper, that they're going to become beliefs for real. Um, I'm not that naive. There's a couple of ways that we can build those into your belief system for real. And the two things that we can do, beliefs are just like habits. Has anybody ever changed a habit before? Created a new habit or got rid of an old habit, replaced an old habit. These are going to start to replace some of your old beliefs if you do it right. So um, the two ways that you can really help to implement these beliefs into your um, into your psyche, so that you actually start to believe them, is one is by repetition. So you can just stand up and read these every day over and over again until you believe it. And so that's one kind of, if you do it enough times, it'll work. But what really, really makes a difference is when you add some emotion into that, into reading these out. And how I do it is, so part of my morning routine is I take a cold shower every day. And I actually do these while I'm in the cold shower. And I do it with some physical motions too. So if anybody wants to go through that with me, um, just just hit me up. I'll tell you all about it. So it's been going really good though, right? So day 1 was good. We talked about the 3 M's: mindset, motivation, and method. And then we talked about how mindset is BS. Mindset is belief systems, right? So belief systems, but beliefs are not facts. That's super important to get. And then we talked about who am I? And then yesterday we talked about how does the world work? So today, um, you're probably starting to wonder if all there is to it is mindset, motivation, and method, then what happens when I'm not achieving my goals? When I have a goal and I'm not achieving it, what's happening there? Like, why can't I have the mindset or the motivation that I need? Why is it missing? It's not as simple as just saying I need to have the mindset. So, oh, it's not like going to the store and picking the right mindset off the shelf. It doesn't work that way. These things that you're writing down every day, they're going to have to get driven into your subconscious in order to be effective. It's the same with motivation. And I know that some of you are extremely driven people, and that's amazing. Um, but not all of you. Some of you get disconnected from that motivation at times. Sometimes we forget why we want to do things. Um, all the all the coaches tell you it's important to have a powerful motivation, but they don't tell you how to do that. So um, that's kind of what I do. If when we work together, I ask you a lot of questions about your life and what's important to you, and then um, in our Fearless Transformation Master groups, for example, we just get you to write it down, and then once it's written down, you get you have to give it to your partner, and you have to give it to me, and then you have those people supporting you, me and plus your partner plus the group. So that's where you get that's where you how you bridge those gaps, because there's going to be days when you just don't have that motivation to do what you have to do. There's going to be days when you just you forget what your beliefs are supposed to be, what you want your beliefs to be, because they're just not quite 100% into your subconscious yet. And even your subconscious sometimes will question them, even if you feed them in there nice and deep. They don't always stay there. So there's always these struggles with mindset and these struggles with motivation. I don't know if it ever ends, to be honest. And as you go, when you achieve your goals, then you just want to set new goals after that, right? Like, I mean, celebrate by all means, but there's no end, like, there's no end point. So I think that's super important to get. The thing that is going to give you the most happiness in your life is progress. And so achieving that goal is amazing, but then what? The third element of mindset is, what am I capable of? So what am I capable of? Boy, oh boy. It's kind of weird. I'm not even sure if I'm on Facebook right now. I better check that out. Seems like a pretty important part of the process here. I just don't see it. Why don't I see it? Well, that's so interesting. Maybe I closed the tab. Me and my technology, I'll tell you what. There we go. Okay. So I can see myself, so I must be on. That's great. Um, so yeah, so today it's the third element. It's just around, what am I capable of? So what am I capable of? And boy, that really brings up some resistance for some people, but that's the reason why we do these in this order. So once you get who am I, and you get how the world works, there's some logical conclusions that you have to draw about what I'm capable of from that. Um, we put so many limitations on ourselves, and they're all fake. They're all fake. All the limitations that we put on ourselves are fake. And I'm probably going to get some people to even argue with me about this, but I'm going to tell you, um, my belief is that the only limitations that we truly have is fear. So if you can point out a limitation that we have that's not rooted in fear somehow, then I'd love to hear it. When I think about what am I capable of, what can I actually do? Because now I know who I am and I know how the world works. And I always think about the seventh power when I get to this part, because we don't always take responsibility for what we are capable of. And I think it's important to really step into that. I'll tell you about the seventh power in a second, but I, I want to tell you about this quote from. Do you guys remember on day one I said my favorite superhero as a child? Do you guys remember what that was? You can put it in the comments. But from that comic strip, hey Bob, thanks for letting me know. I'm good to go. Thanks, Anya. Um, the so on Monday, I told you guys my favorite superhero. My favorite superhero as a child, the one that I wanted to be was Spider Man. I always wanted to be Spider Man, just like flip webs out of my wrist, you know? Psst, psst. Wouldn't that be great? And just like swing through town. I remember I lived in this really small town and there was no tall buildings. So I was like, I wonder how that's going to work. How am I going to get attach my web to something up really high so I can swing from it? It's going to have to just like attach to the houses, you know, and they're not very tall. It's not like Spider Man's always in like, you know, downtown with the super tall buildings and everything. Oh man. Anyways, in the story, in the Spider Man story, um, Uncle Ben relates this important piece of wisdom to Peter Parker. And the piece of wisdom is, with great power comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And as I think that's why we have such a problem with this part of mindset. What am I capable of? Because we don't want to take the responsibility of having that much power on. Um, but I always think about the seventh power, and I don't know if you guys know what the seventh power is, but um, the Native Americans in uh, specifically in Montana have this way of modeling the world, and the way they do it is their model of the world looks like kind of like a frisbee, because they wouldn't have been able to know that the world was round. It probably never occurred to them. So they have this pie plate sort of representation of the world. And they have the six powers on this model. And the six powers are the power of the north, the power of the south, the power of the east, the power of the west, the power of the heavens, and the power of the earth. Six different directions. But a lot of their beliefs revolve around the fact that the way that we interact with the world and the way that we interact with those six directions is that we have influence over all of it. So you see, you are the seventh power because you are at the intersection of the power of the north, the power of the south, the power of the east, the power of the west, the power of the heavens, and the power of the earth. You're right at the intersection of that. And everything that you do and everything that you say influences all six of those powers. So you are the seventh power. So I just have a few questions in the workbook. I want you to know that the questions that I put in the workbook are there to make you think. So you don't necessarily have to answer these questions and make that your mindset statement. You can make up your own mindset statements after, but I really want to ask you these questions. And if we were doing a one on one coaching session, I would ask you exactly these kinds of questions. If we're trying to if we're trying to map out what is a good mindset for you, some of the questions I would want to ask you are what happens when I'm really hungry for something? Like like do I if I'm really hungry for it, am I usually successful? Or is that even more reason for, for me to fail? What happens when I try really hard? Like, do I actually get rewarded for what I do? What are my biggest obstacles? And the reason why I asked this one is because um, I really want to get it out there. I don't want to bury like that there's challenges because I know that people have challenges. I have challenges too. So so let's bring it out and look at it and analyze it and see how it's affecting our mindset or if it's affecting our mindset. Um, am I, is there a sacrifice that has to be made for my success? In other words, if I have a goal, do I believe that I have to give something up in order to achieve the goal? Because sometimes we limit ourselves that way. This belief that, um, yeah, sure, I'm capable of anything, but it's the but that gets you. And so it's the but that is holding you back. So I want to get at that with you. I want to pull that out and see what it is. And then once it's out there, then we can look at it and see if it makes any sense or not. And you'll be surprised what comes out. Um, so some of my capabilities or my beliefs about my capabilities come from my support systems. So I'm always curious about who's on your team, who's on your side. Um, I'm curious about where you get support from. Do I really believe I'm good enough? Do I like really? Do I really, really believe I'm good enough? It's amazing how, when you start to do this work, how you start to find out that you didn't even know what your beliefs were about yourself. Um, until you really start to investigate it and start to push up against some of those things, start to test some things out, and you start to take some action. So you start to see, like people talk about self sabotage a lot these days, and that's something that typically happens subconsciously, and it comes from fear, and it's something that we're not aware was there. And our mindset is the same way. We have fears that prevent us from wanting to believe certain things about ourselves. Fears that, um, gosh, Anya, what was that saying you had about that? It's not our it's not our limitations that we fear, or something like that. It's what we really fear, is that we really fear that ultimately we just have inherent greatness inside of us. And I think that's a very valid, very real fear, but most people aren't aware of it. So I encourage you to go through those questions and take some time and open up some parts of your mind that don't get opened up very often, and get down some statements that are really going to empower you to move forward with your goals and your dreams. Um, these statements all start with "I can," but they don't have to. And uh, day two, on day two, they all started with "the world." The world works like this, or the universe works like this, or God works like this. They don't have to start that way. It just has to be a statement about how it works. So these are just like guidelines to get you started. You can honestly really do it your own way. Um, so that's day three. And tomorrow, oh my gosh, tomorrow is Thursday and it's going to be huge. You do not want to miss tomorrow if at all possible. You want to be here live for tomorrow. It's going to be the probably the most powerful day, I think, of the whole. um, Marianne Williamson. Yeah, our greatness and our light. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, climbing the buildings. I got a great story about that, Bob. I got a whole bunch of great stories from when I was a kid, when I was 10ish, and me and my friend, my best friend, we used to go and climb up on every roof in town. Man, oh man, we climbed up on the water tower. But I lived in this really small town. So um, the buildings weren't very tall, but the water tower was really tall, and it just had this ladder that was just welded to the outside of it. There was no cage or anything like that. It was just wide open. I don't know, it was maybe 150 feet tall or something like that. 200 feet. It seemed pretty huge at the time, and we climbed up there at night one time, and we could see the next town. So there was another little town just up the road a bit there, 15 miles away or something like that, and you could see it from up there. So yeah, we climbed on everything when I was a kid. Gosh, even uh, the buildings weren't super tall, but we just climbed up on the roofs. So anyways, that was good times, and I always wanted to be Spider-Man. All right. um, Tomorrow's going to be enormous, so I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow, and have yourselves a great day.